His new book is out today. Best-selling author Jim Rickards joins me today to discuss his latest, The New Case for Gold, which looks at the role of gold in today's monetary system. Joining us today in studio is Jim Rickards. Thanks so much for being with us today on the day of your book launches in stores.
Thank you, Danielle. Great to be with you.
So, Jim, we've had you on multiple times to talk about gold, and now here we are. You have a book dedicated basically to the metal with lots of gold bugs rejoicing here. Why did you think it was necessary to make a book that, I really saw as a defense for the metal in today's society, in a society where we often hear people refer to it as a relic and most recently a pet rock? Right.
Well, Danielle, it's a very good question. I had a chapter on gold in my first book, Currency Wars, and I had 2 chapters on gold in my second book, The Death of Money. And I said, I just need to write a book on gold. Sit down, take everything I know, everything I've learned, everything I've researched, put it all in one place, make it very accessible for the reader, and just sort of and do that. That was one motivation. There were 2 other motivations. One is there are certain arguments against gold that you hear all the time. And I was just to be fed up with them because they're all wrong. Empirically, analytically, historically wrong. They don't hold water. I said, so I have to shoot those arguments down. So about 10% of the book is just knocking down these arguments once and for all. And then the other 90% of the book is a very positive case in favor of having gold in your portfolio. The third reason was, and this is why I call it the new case for gold. People say, well, what's new about it? There are 21st century reasons to have gold. So a lot of the arguments pro and con have been going on for decades or centuries. But there are new 21st century reasons to have gold in your portfolio that I did want to talk about and alert the reader to.
Well, I want to dive into some of that right now. You made a discovery in the Fed's balance sheet that you suggest that there is gold at Fort Knox, at West Point, $300 billion worth of gold.
Correct.
That the Fed doesn't want audited because they don't want to draw attention to this. But if this is so, would the Fed want gold to be higher?
Well, gold is actually propping up the Fed. Now, this was a discovery I made. I had a conversation with one of the members of the Board of Governors, and I had marked the portfolio to market. I took the Fed's bond portfolio, marked it to market, and at times, not all the time, but at times, they were insolvent. If you marked it to market, it wiped out their capital. So I said to one of the governors, I think you're broke. And this individual said, no, we're not. And then I said, well, I've done the research. She says, well, maybe. And then she said, it doesn't matter, meaning it doesn't matter if the Fed has no capital. And I was shocked because here's a governor more or less admitting that they were insolvent. I then later spoke to another Fed insider, even had an office across the hall from Bernanke, put it that way, and Janet Yellen. And he was adamant that they've never been insolvent, ever, even on a mark-to-market basis. So I said, well, maybe I'm missing something. So I went back and looked at the Fed balance sheet, and there's this gold certificate that they value at $42 an ounce. Now, at that valuation, they're leveraged 113 to 1. But if you take it and mark it to market at, say, $12.50 an ounce, which is where it is today, that puts another $400 billion on the Fed's balance sheet, and they're very healthy, about 12 to 1. So gold is propping up the Fed, but nobody wants to talk about it.
Were you not surprised when you saw this, thinking, why hasn't this been dug up before, that they have all this gold?
Well, the key to it was, the Treasury has 8,000 tons of gold, and the Fed has this gold certificate marked at historic cost. And I never connected the two. I mean, I knew that they got the certificate when the Treasury took the gold from the Fed. But I took the mark-to-market value, divided by $42 an ounce, converted it to tons, and it came out to be exactly 8,000 tons. It was the same amount of gold. What I was trying to solve for, how come the Treasury stopped selling gold in 1980? From 1950 to 1980, the Treasury lost most of its gold. The Treasury lost 12,000 tons of gold. We had 20,000 tons in 1950. We were down to 8,000 tons in 1980. So 12,000 tons of gold went out the door. But then it stopped. We still have the same 8,000 tons. I said, well, why did they stop at 8,000 tons? Why didn't they keep dumping it? Well, the answer is that that's needed to prop up the Fed.